Good afternoon, Mahesh. Hi, Ketan. So now time is 3:1. We'll start by 3:4. Hi, Faraj. Good afternoon. Hi, Puneet. Good afternoon. Hi, Pawan. Hi, Danvin. Hi, Pawan. Hi, Jagannath. Wait for two more minutes. We'll start the session. Hi, Gaurav. Welcome. Hi, John. Hi, Suresh. Hi, Vidya. Hi, Ruchi. Hi, Nagesh. Hi, Satya. Hi, Ruchi. And everyone here, right? Hi, Mohammed. My audio is clear, right? Raghu sir, over to you.
Okay. So good afternoon to everyone, and we'll get started. So let me do a quick introduction in case you have joined only for today's session. So hope you are all aware we have been conducting this webinar series from last 3 weeks, and this is the 4th week of the webinar series. So can anyone of you confirm that you are able to see my presentation? That presentation is machine learning use case. Can you confirm? And
Yes, sir.
yeah, okay. So great. Okay, hope my voice is clear. Okay, let us get started. So today is the 4th day of 4-day lessons. That is the 4th webinar session on the machine learning. And agenda for today is I would be taking up a use case and I will run through the use case. And so finally, like how we build what you can call it as a project out of it, in the sense how can we build a user interface and how to deploy this on a local system. So that is what I would be discussing about in today's session. So before this session, I started with Python, and then we have done it was a hands-on session with Python, and then we moved to the exploratory data analysis where I have used Pandas and Matplotlib. Then we moved to the machine learning. So we have done linear regression, and I explained you about different machine learning algorithms, what are the types of the machine learning. And in today's session, we'll be picking up a use case. So this is a bit about me. So myself, Raghu Prasad, I have done my BE and MS. I have overall 24 years of experience. So before coming to IT, I was a lecturer in an engineering college for about 7 years. Into IT from last 17 years, I worked in various companies like Cisco, CSC, ICC group of companies, and First Apex. And I'm currently into corporate training and consultancy. I'm a subject matter expert for the Skill Upright. So as part of this, I provide training to corporates, as well as I go to universities, colleges, and conduct workshops and training. And I started my career with Java, and then I got opportunity to work with various technologies as I moved up the ladder in the companies. So I worked on many of these technologies, and I worked on the Python data sciences, web technologies, as well as JavaScript technologies, Internet of Things, and test automation. So I started with being a Java developer, moved all the way to like project lead, and then tech lead, and then project manager, solution architect, associate vice president, finally program manager. I played various roles. So just with my, it's my pleasure to share the experience, whatever I have in this particular. So with that, as I told you, today's agenda is introduction to life cycle of a machine learning project. What would be the life cycle of a machine learning project? And I will be taking up a use case that is introduction to Bangalore home price prediction use case. And what are the technology stack we would be using in this particular use case, and then demonstration of this, and then deep dive into the code, how to do the coding for this, and followed by the QA. So when we say a project life cycle, it is not that because we have a technology so that I have to take up a project or something like that. It should be start with a business problem, right? So there should be business should be the driver to start any project, right? So that is where the first thing, very important thing, is the discovery phase. It could be like say there are many competitors, and so as a business owner, so they want to know, can I build a what you can call it as a solution where people want to buy a plot or a flat. So can they predict the price based on the data whatever we have collected? So there should be a business drive, and from that only the project is going to start. So let us say there's a business need that they have to build such system, and then what happens once they have done it, then comes the they approach a data scientist and they asked them like, can you do this particular project? Then he will put back, and then he will say like, okay, get me the data. So where is the data and what are the various factors involved? So in order to build this particular model, so what are the things required? Where can I get the data? Right? So that is where the data preparation comes into picture. Data may come from various sources. So it may be in the form of a SQL, or it may be stored in RDBMS, or it may be from a text file, or it may be from a CSV file, or it could be data may be available from various sources. Finally, the data should be made available so that we can start the project. So that is where the data first is the identifying the data, and then what kind of information we have to get, and then getting that particular data. So once we get that particular data, then comes the model planning. So in this, basically what we are going to do is we will in data preparation and model planning, we will go about doing exploratory data analysis, EDA. So this is the data. Let me go through the data and let us see how many parameters are there in that data. What are the dependent variables? What are the independent variables? So is this data is containing only number, or is it a string, or is it any other type? And is there any duplicate records? Is there any missing data? So is there any data which is not suitable to build model, or is there any extra data which is not required? So that is where the model planning phase will come in, and that is where we do the exploratory data analysis as well as the visualization. So pictorially, can I represent something? Pictorially, can I see and move forward? Then comes the model building. This is where the phase where the machine learning models are applied. So what kind of problem we are trying to say? What kind of algorithm can we use to solve this problem? Okay, so what is the testing data? What is the training data? All those things come into picture. So once we know all those things, we start building the model and then train the model, and then we are going to test the model and see the accuracy and see is it okay, or can I apply some different algorithms, see the accuracy of various algorithm, and then finalize on the algorithm which could be used. So that is what is the model building. So once the model is done, now I want the end user to use it, right? Then I have to develop the front end. Then I have to develop the back end. Okay, so this is just a model building. So once the model is built, so pretty much model is ready. Then I have to start working on the other aspects, developing a front end, developing a back end, and then coming up with a technical architecture of the project, and then develop, and then test it, and then host it, deploy it. So that is what is called as the operationalize. Then comes the communicate the result. So we want to communicate the result back to the owner, so who has asked us to do the project, and then see this, look, this is what I have done, this is where it is, this is how people are using. Okay, is there anything I have to do? Is there any changes, or is there any improvement, or how can I improve this? And again, this starts, and then a continuous maintenance, and if at all any enhancement is there, this is what it is there. So this is a typical project life cycle where a machine learning is one of the part of a data science project. So this is the data science project, and machine learning is one of the part of the data science project. Now let us take each and every phase here. We are starting with, first is the discovery phase. This is where the problem statement is to build a model to predict the Bangalore home price. So next is, where can we get the data? So from where we can get the data? From the perspective of this particular demonstration, so there is this data is available in the Kaggle. So Kaggle is very has a lot of such data, a lot of use cases. You can go and you can check in the Kaggle. Okay, so this is where we have the data. So we can go and we can check in the Kaggle, and we can download. So this is where we have this data. right? And we can download this data. So we can download this data. This is the Bangalore home data. So like this, there are so many things also, and also people would be exploring on this, and they would have done. They started using this data, and they have built their own system. See here, there are so many people have built the model and all those things. See, many people have done the analysis, prediction, and they are already built. We can like once we want to understand this, and then you can go through most of them and see how they have built this. Okay, so many people have built. So they, like periodically, Kaggle conducts many kind of what you can call it as the challenges. It throws the challenges, and you can see like what kind of challenge, and you can look at the repository or the archive and see what kind of solutions people have built. Okay, so this is the data source, and this is what I am doing. So let us look at the data. So let us look at the data, whatever I have. So if I browse that particular data, so this is again a CSV file, comma separated file. So this is the data. So this is the data I have. So I have done the filtering. Let me take out the filtering. See, we have this data. So we have around 13,000 data records. We have nearly 13,000 321, 320 records. So let us look at the data. What is this data? So if you look at the data, we have, so this is the information about let us say about a plot, about a flat, not a plot, it is a flat. Okay. The first is the super area types. What are the different area types? It could be built up area, it could be super built up area. So like this plot areas, different areas are there. And there is another column called availability. So is it ready to move on? What date it is available? Things like that. And third column is the location. So where is this plot located? And the fourth is like the size. What is it? Is it 2-bedroom house or 4-bedroom house? Or what is this? And which society or which community is this house? And then what is the total square feet area? Total square feet area of this, and how many bathrooms are there, how many balconies are there, and what is the price? Prices are in lakhs. Okay, so this is what is the first thing is to gather this information. Maybe this information, see now we got maybe of X, right? But again, this maybe we will be getting from a lot of property vendors, so many real estate people. From there, we have to collect, gather. If there is no single source of truth, we have to collect from various places, and then we have to put it into some kind of a format, and then use it. So this is what is the data we are talking about today. So we can just do some kind of a further analysis here only in Excel sheet. Excel sheet also is Excel is a good tool. So when I filter it, I can see like, okay, so these are all the different areas. Then I can see how much data is given in the built up area. Suppose a plot area, how many data, how many records are there. So we can check all those things, right? And also like we wanted to see which locations. You see, so many locations. So many locations are there. Okay, if I want to do a particular location, I can filter it on, and what is the bedroom and things like that. Total square feet, yeah, total number of days. What is the price range? We can check on so many things. So this is the data available. So this is where we start working on this. Next is the model planning. That is where the exploratory data analysis comes into picture. So once we have this data, we are going to read the data, and we will be using libraries from Python, which are pandas. So we start reading and we start extracting the data, seeing the data, and see whether is there any duplicates records are there, or is data is fine, and all those things we are going to do exploratory data analysis. Is there any null values? What to do with the null? How to handle it? How to manage this? So those things what we will be doing. So then comes the after that the model building. So this is where feature engineering. So these are only various features. Okay. So is this features enough? Can I have to create additional feature by using this data, or is there any feature which may not be useful for me to predict the price? Okay, things like that. So which one to include, which one not to include, things like that. So all those things we can use and we can start working on this, right? So these are all what we can do when we use this, and that is what we are going to do in the future. Dimensionality reduction. There are so many dimensions. Like in the sense, say a particular column may be having so many unique rows, and if there are many rows, like how can I club them together, or how can I on a particular feature, so how can I reduce the number of such things? Then what kind of model we are going to do here? Probably we'll be applying the linear regression model, because obviously the area increases, the price increases, right? So this is a linear model kind of a thing. And again, we have to see what are the dependent variables, what are the independent variables. Obviously, the price is a dependent variable. Price is dependent on what? The total square feet, maybe the number of location, right? The number of bedrooms, so it BHK. So it all depends on those factors. So we have to identify them. That is what we will be doing. And then train and test the model. So much data is there. How we will use this data, and part of this data we will be using for training, and then we will do the testing, and then see what is the accuracy and things like that. And then can I apply some other algorithms? Can I see when I apply those algorithms, can the accuracy be improved? So those things will be. And then once we are fine, once we try and test and all, once we are a bit confident, then we can go for the operation is, in a sense, like we can build the front end, back end, and then we can deploy in the local server, test it out. If everything is fine, we can show it to the stakeholder, and then they're fine, then we can deploy or host it on a cloud environment. So this is what typically we have to do when we start working on a project like this. So this is where all these things is represented in the form of a picture. So we'll get all the input. We have the data, and then we start working on the data, and then train the model. And then when we are inputting the data, and then if the new data comes in, we will check like how the model is going to work, and check the prediction. If the prediction is it fine, then the model is successful, then go ahead. Otherwise, you keep on training the data further, improve the performance. Then again, analyze, fine tuning, and all those things we have to do. So this is what we can do. Okay, so now in order to do this, what is the technology stack we'll be using? So we will for the model building, we are using Python, Pandas, Matplotlib, and then scikit-learn. So in that we are using linear regression, and then the front end we are using HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and the back end we are using a Python Flask. So this is what we will be doing. So with this bit introduction about this, let us start with the demonstration. First, I will demonstrate, and then I will deep dive. We can deep dive into the code. So this is already, I have the code and everything is ready. Now let us start this. So this is how the code is organized. I have structured the code. One is the client, where this my HTML JavaScript program will be there. Next is we have model. This is where the machine learning model is built. And once the model is built, we are going to convert that model into a file that we call it a pickle file. And this pickle file is used by our backend program, and it is going to convert, it is going to read the pickle file and convert it back to the model, and that is being used. The user start giving the inputs and when they try to use this. And then another thing is we have the server programming. This is where the Flask program comes into picture. Okay, so now let me first start the backend server. This is a Flask. So just I will start this. Here we have this server.py. So this is what I'm running. It is Python Flask. Okay, so it is running and it is running on this port 5000. So my Flask is running. Now let me run the, I can put it on any servers like XAMPP or anything, and there also we can make it running, and then the client. So this is where my front end is there. So this is the front end. This is the front end. This front end has these things. These are the locations. These are the various locations in Bangalore. Okay, where we have the data. And then basically the user input. User will be giving some data. Like for example, you want to buy a flat of 1000 square feet with 2 bedrooms and then 2 bathrooms. And in this particular area, what would be the price? See, it is around 2 crores. Okay, as per this data. Let us say, let me check in another data. Suppose say another place. See, here it is only 47 lakhs. Maybe in some other phase, some other location, say it's around 28 lakh. So if I say 2000 square feet and say 3 bedroom, okay, so what would be the price? See, price is around 1 crore. So like this, we can build a simple user interface, and my model is built and model is converted into a pickle file, and we are in this, we will be, when we make a request, the request will come to the server, and the server is processing the request. Server is processing the request, and finally it is giving back the predicted value to the front end. So this is what is the simple demonstration of a end-to-end project on Bangalore home price. So now let us see how this is being built. What are the steps involved? What are the steps involved to get to this level? And let us deep dive into the program. So again, the program which I would be opening and I would be running is, so this is the Jupyter notebook. So let me open the Jupyter notebook. Okay, so when I open the Jupyter notebook, here this is the program. So what has been discussed from last 3 webinars, so those things we will be using here. The first is we will be starting with importing the required libraries like pandas and numpy may not be required here. Okay, pyplot, that is for the matplotlib. And then just we are setting the what you can call it as a matplot this size. And the first thing what we are going to do obviously is to read the data from the CSV file. So first pd.read CSV, I'm going to read the data from the CSV file. Once I read this data, then it is converted as a data frame, right? So this is a data frame. So first I will be starting with this. This is a data frame. So from the data frame, there could be like the in real data, it's already 13,000 plus records. In real data, it may be lakhs or it may be so many data is there. So just we wanted to see what is the content of the data. Just we will say df1.data. So this is going to display the first 5 records. Then to get an idea like what data it is. So we got this. Okay. So this is what is this. Then to check, in sometimes like it is difficult to even open that file if it is too big. Then you can check the size, how many records are there. So here it says we have around 13,320 records, and how many features are there, or how many columns are there? There are around 9 columns. So these are the 9 columns. So once we have this, then let us understand what are the columns. So these are the columns. And then try to start exploring one by one. Let me try to get the unique value of the area type. Okay, area type, these are the unique value. And how many such counts are there? Let us see what are the counts. So we start exploring one by one. So here we have super build-up area, and this is around 8,790 records with the built-up area around 2,418 records, like this. So we start this thing. Now next comes what are the features that may not be required to build our model. Okay, from this particular demonstration perspective, so area type does not matter, society does not matter, how many balcony does not matter, because just you're predicting the price. Maybe availability does not matter. So I'm dropping those columns which are not required. So now I started with data frame 1. Now I am creating another data frame 2, so that my previous data frame is intact, and then I move to the data frame 2, and where I again start working further looking into this. So once I come here, now start the data cleaning. So what is the data cleaning? So is there any null values are there? So is null, dot is null, okay, some of them. So there are location, one location is having nil size, there are 16 records null and all. So we can decide what to do. Whether I can fill that with some mean value or something like that, or if you don't want to consider, you can do that. You can decide what you wanted to do. So here in this case, I think I am dropping them. So I am dropping them which are all null, and then I am creating another data frame called df3. So here again I cross check whether every null column is dropped. So then I say df3 is null, some of them. So it's all there is no such records. Okay, so all are dropped. All the columns which are not null, which are actually null, are dropped. Then now we see we started with this thing. Now I have these many records. Now we will start the feature engineering. Try to understand the things. So when you look at the BHK, see the data is something like this. BHK. See, ideally, like when I want to build a model, I have to convert this into a number, right? So here, this column, see, some column is 2 BHK, some column, some row value is 2 bedroom, like this. So here, what is important? I have to extract the numbers. I have to take out the text, right? I want to extract the numbers and I want to take out. So this is what exactly the work, like the data analyst and the data scientist put together will start doing this. Okay, so which they go and understand each and every set of records, set of data, and then try to look at this. Now I am going to take out from this. I want to take out 2, right? So when I want to take out 2, so this is what we would be doing. We are applying a lambda function. So where I pass the x, what is this x is the size, and I am splitting this. I am splitting this by using the space, and then from that I take the zeroth split, that is the first split, which is nothing but this number. So which is nothing but this number 2, 4, like this, and then I am converting to a int, because this is by default string. I am converting into a int, and then I am creating a new column. I have created a new column called BHK. So original column was size. Now I created a new column like this. So then I can look at the unique values and things like that. So like this, it starts. See now we have this many unique column. Earlier, if I take on the unique, we have so many things, right? So now all are reduced to this. Like this, we have to start working on each and every column, start exploring. See, now let us look at the total square feet column. So if you look at the total square feet column, So if you look at the total square feet column, here some values are like this: 2,100 to 2,850. So I cannot use like this, right? So now we have to decide what to do. Can I take the average of this, or what to do with this? Okay. So each and every data set or each and every column we have to further explore on this, right? That is what we are going to do here. So now I looked into this. Yes. So now how to extract that? How to extract that? How to convert? So now what I will do? I will create a function called isFloat. Whatever I pass, I can convert into a float. You can convert into a float if the value is directly in that. Then otherwise, if it is so, then I am returning true. Otherwise, I am going to return false. Right? So like this, we will start exploring one by one column. And then what I'm going to do, so whichever I cannot convert, so not of total square feet. So I'm going to check those columns which I cannot convert directly to the float. So these are all the records. These are all the records, right? So you see something is having square meter. What to do with that? Can I convert this into a square feet and do it, or can I take out that? And that is what we have to decide. So a lot of time goes into doing these activities, guys. Okay, a lot of time goes into doing this activity. So the see here we want to take the average. Then we have to again write some kind of a lambda function, take the average. So again we are going to convert square feet to number, split this, and then if the token is 2, then do that. Return it as true. Return it. Otherwise, return the float as it is. Otherwise, return none. Right? So like this, we start working on each and every column and then convert this. So this is what we get. Right? So we will check whether this average we got for this particular column, if you know a particular row. Okay, row number 30 was having data like 2,100 to 2,850. Is it converted properly when I apply this? So this is what is going to happen. Right? So this is how we start working on each and every column. So a lot of time actually goes into this. Okay, so a lot of work we have to do in terms of cleaning, cleansing, analyzing the data. It's not that data is there, just we take it as it is. We have to apply our knowledge, and if required, we will get the input from the business people and see whether, because data is there, unless the clean data or unless the valuable data is there, whatever the model we build, it may not be of that much use, right? So this is where our lot of work, lot of time is being spent on analyzing the data and then doing all these kind of what you can call it as cleaning, cleansing, doing some mathematical operation. All those things comes into picture. So now moving forward. Okay, then so now we wanted to know like price per square feet, because we have so many things. Just for a curiosity, okay, we wanted to know like what is the price per square feet, what is the average price per square feet. Okay, that is what we wanted to know, because there may be, if you look at the data later on, you can look into the data. See, there are 5 bathrooms in 2,500. There are maybe instances of a lesser. See, how can we this? There are 6 bathrooms in 1,020 square feet. This is not possible, right? That means there must be something wrong with this data. So, but how do you decide? We cannot just keep on searching for a one record and keep on deleting, right? So that is where again we start feature engineering comes into picture. So that is where we start further exploration. So we have to look for those kind of things, because the finer detail is very important, and this is where data plays a key role, and then our analysis of the data, given data, is very important. So this is where again we can start, and we will see, can I get a what you can call it as column. Let me create a column called price per square feet. So what we are going to do, the price, and it is in lakh, we divide, multiply, multiply by lakh, and then we convert into rupees, and then divided by total square feet. So this is what we are going to get. So price per square feet is this much. So then we have to analyze, oh, is there any price per square feet? What is the value? See, price per square feet in electronics it is 3,690. Okay, maybe it's good. So really this much, to know this much, but we have to understand and we have to start analyzing. So then you can do the describe. It will give you the statistics like count, mean, standard deviation, minimum, and things like that. So now again, we start looking at the locations. So which are all the locations? So many locations are there. So how do we group these locations? That is again a challenge, because only when the users are searching this, we are searching based on the location, right? So this is where how we will start looking at the location, how many unique values are there, and how many properties are there in that particular location. Then we have to start looking into this. So now when we look at this, again, yeah, again very important, like apply the lambda and then try to trim off the extra spaces, and then look at this value counts. So in Whitefield we have 533 properties, Sarjapur Road, like this. We start analyzing this, and there are many places where one property is there. So then you cannot like decide something based on one property, right? So then maybe we want to put them into other category, right? So other category. That's what we have to explore on the. So this is what we will be doing. So we'll be doing further exploration of the data. So this is where we will check now. Now we will say get me those locations at least where the counts are more than 10. Okay, get me those locations counts are more than 10. So this is what we start analyzing, and then we may put them into other category, because there are around 1,747 such locations which are having properties lesser than 10. Okay, maybe I will put it as other. So this is what we start. This is what we call it as a dimensional data collection. So many rows are there. Finally, that will come like a column when we do this search. So that's what the things we can move them to other category. So like this, lot of such work we have to do. Again, we have to write some code to get all of them. And here we have to sit with the business analyst also, who knows about the business. It is not just the programming. We have to ask him like what this means, what is this column means. So and sit with them and try to understand. So this is what is going to happen. Then comes the outlier removal using business. But very important to remove the outlier. Outlier is maybe, what is the meaning of outlier is, so there are some houses which is extremely priced. Okay, there are some houses which is priced very less. We have to look into that. Is it real case, or is this something? Can I make some logical sense because the price of that particular house is so and so? Is it because of the location, or is there some wrong in the data? So this is what we have to do. So the one way to decide is to come up with what is called as the per square feet price per square. Okay, so we looked at those things where the per square feet is like lesser than some value. Okay, so then we will look, and then we can apply some kind of a general logic. Like if it is a 2-bedroom apartment, minimum it should be 6,600 square feet, right? So you could look at those which is having lesser than 3,300 square feet. So then there must be something wrong. Look at this data. So look at this, this particular property. It says, oh, it's 6-bedroom, and but the thing is, area is 1,020 square feet. So something wrong here. Okay, unless it is multi-story, there is something wrong. So we have to remove those outliers. So that is what we have to apply our common sense, and also we have to sit with the business manager and then converse with him to understand this. A lot of things goes into this. Okay, so that is what we are going to do, and we have to remove. So things like that, then we can remove the outlier by checking the standard deviation, mean and minimum, and then check there may be something which does not make any sense. If there is a price of 200, minimum is this much value, maximum is this much. There must be something fishy. So see the per square feet price is this much big. Okay, so then let me look at that data. So those are the things we have to do, and then finally we have to. So once that is done, once we done this, then we will start applying the scatter plot. Then we will see the 2-bedroom versus 3-bedroom in a particular area. See, is there any particular data set which is maybe an outlier, which does not make sense. Then we have to start removing. So this is how it goes on and on and on, and then we will see, we will start plotting the graphs, and then check and then apply all these kind of logic and see can I get the proper data out of the given data and things like this. So once all these things are done, then we have to start apply the model. So these are all the EDA. Okay. So see, there are some things, some outliers are there, some data does not make any sense. After the removal, we got this like this. So now after this, we have to start working in building the model and removing unnecessary things. So now here, this is where, and also we have to do one hot encoding is like converting the string value to a number, because it does not make sense now. Our model won't work on the string, it works on the number. So that is where we have to apply. Here we are applying the dummies, and this is the data. So these are all the data. This is converted into a number. Right, so there are, see here in this, there are 241 columns, 241 features. Okay, so when we do like this, so once we start working on that, then it's time to build a model, and then we will see what is the X value, what is the Y value. X value is all these things are except for the price, right? So this is the X value, and then Y value. Then apply the model. So apply the algorithm. So here we are using train test split, where we are going to split the data into train and test 80-20. So we are using 80% for training and 20% for testing. Apply the linear regression, check the accuracy. See, accuracy is around 86%. Okay, so the score is around 86%. Now again, we have to further increase. Then what? There is a technique called k-fold validation. That means the divide that particular data into multiple splits. So in order to get the randomizing, okay, then again train on that and see what is the result. So it's around 80 and all, so there is not much improvement. Then check whether can I apply multiple algorithms. There are different algorithms like decision tree, lasso, using grid search CV, and then see which one is giving me the best result. So this is, by looking at this, the best result is given by the linear regression. Okay. So my model is ready. Then we have to test this data. Okay, we have to write a function for passing all the values and predict, get the data, get the predicted price which is predicting. So when I test the data like this, I pass like, oh, first phase JP Nagar, this is the price, and then it's around 80. And then you check this data, and this is how we are going to build a model. So once my model is built, now I have to convert into a pickle file. So this is converted into a pickle file. It is like a binary file. So we are going to convert into a pickle file, because this file would be used in our server. We will put this file into the server. So model building part is ready. Now I will go for the real things, and also extract the columns. What are the columns required from the perspective of the locality? Here also we are converting the JSON. So guys, this about the first part of the model building. This is where we have done the model. So then quickly we can start working on the front end and the back end. Like the front end is like this. So where we have the HTML, CSS and all. Before that, let us open the back end program and quickly look at the back end program. Just I will conclude in another 5 minutes max. So this is, I'm just using a spider here. Okay, see, this is the program. Again, this is a Flask program. It is a REST API we are developing. So when the request comes, see, when the request comes here, this is a predict home price. Okay, so what are the things we are passing? We are passing the total square feet, location, BHK, and baht. So if you look at this, this is what is coming from here. So I pass these values, right? When the moment I submit, it finally it will come to this backend programming, which is written in a Flask. And then we are going to use this model. The first thing is we are going to load saved artifact. We have written a utility method which will read the data from a pickle file. So this is a pickle file which is converted from the model is converted to pickle file, and we are going to read the data from the pickle file. We can get back the model from the pickle file. So when we load this, this is what the model is ready. Once the model is ready, now we are going to call these methods like get estimate price and then pass these values, and the model is going to return back the values. So this is running on a Flask. So just quickly come back to the front end. So front end is a HTML, CSS. Let me open it in a Sublime Text. So this is what is the front end. So front end is like your plain HTML, CSS. See, this is the front end. If you look at this, so these are the input fields. And when I submit, it will go to this JS file. From the JS file, where we are going to call the backend program. So this is where we are going to call the backend program. See, here I am calling the backend program. So I'm using a Java query also posting the data. So once I post the data, this will come to the backend program, and the backend program will do all this calculation, and it is going to return the data. So once it returns the data is sent back, and this is where the data is returned, and then we are going to do this. So this is how we can build an end-to-end model involving all the things. This is data engineering. We call it as exactly data engineering, where we are trying to build a system. So with that, just these are the technology stuff we have used, like building the model, Python, Pandas, Matplotlib, scikit-learn, and then the front end is HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and also jQuery we are using just for doing the. Or you can use any backend, a very front end like Angular, React, based on your requirement, and then backend programming here we are using Python. Okay, so that's it, guys. So in last, just to conclude, in last 45-50 minutes, I have taken a particular use case of a Bangalore home price prediction, and the data is taken from the Kaggle, and we have built, we have gone through this particular prediction. So thank you very much for listening to and watching our webinar. So over to Kumar. Kumar, you are there?
Yes, sir. So Kumar, I'm here. You're able to hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great, sir. Thank you once again, sir, for delivering this entire webinar series. So this was a fourth session. Thanks for all the participants joining the session. Hope we still receive they want to know about the recordings. So in case if you want to still want to see the recordings, we have created a web page and we are also sending out emails. Hope you are able to receive it. In case if anybody has missed out, it's all around on our website. We have a separate page created. So this is the page where we have created. So the previous sessions like 30th, 7th, 14th, already Facebook links and all the YouTube links are there. Today we'll be uploading in some time, so maybe by evening it should be ready for you. Okay, so Facebook page, you can directly from here also you can directly jump into the Facebook page. So this is about it. And in case we are running this new fresh batch on machine learning, which will be delivered by Mr. Raghu itself. In case if anybody is interested, they can join. We are starting this Saturday onwards, 24th, and it will end on 29th of November. Okay, so all the details are here. If you want to download about the course, the price, the discounted price for the webinar participant, it is 7,965, and this is our actual price, 14,750. So all the details are provided here, and if you need further details, you can always reach us out. This is our contact number. Okay, so fantastic, great guys. Thanks for joining sessions. We don't see any questions from any participants. If there is any questions, anybody has any questions to ask to Mr. Raghu, you can just type in your questions in the chat section, so that we'll be happy to answer it. Just let us know in case if you have any questions. We would love to answer your questions. Will be available another 5 more minutes. It's 3:55 now, 56 now. So till 4 will be available. Any questions? You can just shoot us the questions. Okay. Okay. There is a question about URL link. Okay. All right. URL link to provide on the chat section. Okay. Just a minute. I'm just yeah. So I've just shared you the Jagannath. I've just shared you the link. You can just copy paste or a bookmark that link, and you can make use of it. So whoever wants the recording, it's I've just now pinged on the chat section. You can copy the link. I don't think so. There is any more question. I think we'll wind up the session. But however, in case if anybody leaves the session once we end this webinar, still we will answer those questions to you. Okay. Babul,
Yeah.
URL already. It's already there. Babul is asking, please send the URL. So Babul, just if you want, I can ping it once again. So this is the URL, Babul. I'll just have once again shared it on the chat section. You can just go and have a look at it. Okay, thanks, sir, once again, and thanks for all the participants to join all the sessions. Like we said, the recordings are there. The URL is also being shared, and today's recording also will be updated on the web page. So you can follow us on Facebook. So any recordings that we upload onto the Facebook, you would get a notification. And also, if you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, through that also any new recordings that we update, all those things will be available for you to have a you will get a notification basically, so that you can go and have a look at it. Okay. All right. Thank you, participants, for joining the sessions. So we will update you for the upcoming sessions whenever we schedule through our L&D, and the L&Ds will communicate for you to on the webinars that we have scheduled. Okay, thanks everyone. So thank you once again, sir.
Thank you. Thanks everyone. Thanks, Kumar.
All right, so thank you everyone. A lot of people says thanks, like Ketan, Donald, Vikram Singh, Jagannath, Rajesh, Shrikesh, Dilip. So thank you for the session. Thank you for joining the session. Okay, so we are wrapping up the session. We'll again connect back whenever we schedule a new webinar, whether it could be on machine learning, AWS, or any other sessions. All right. So thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining the sessions. Have a wonderful day ahead. We'll connect back again on the next webinar.